Yeah, look, I mean, I think there's some degree of exposure, but it's not much different from a lot of other workplaces where we have people exposed to hazards, whether you're working in a hospital or you're a police officer, or even you're working in a GP clinic, you'll be exposed to some inherent risks as part of the role. This one you might say, well, there's a higher proportion of it making up your daily activities. But I don't think it means that harm is inevitable and that there are things that employers can't do. So I think we have to acknowledge there's a duty there. And so then the question is, what are the things that we can do? And I always love that great quote about, what's reasonably practicable for an employer to do is to have this active, imaginative and flexible approach to dangers. So we're constantly actively looking at the risk and actively looking at solutions. We're imagining worst case scenarios and working back from then to what can we do. And we're flexible in our thinking. We will try new things. We constantly review procedures. There are employers who work with situations of vicarious trauma who do have great procedures, great support, and it may be that means that people get rotated out of the area for a while and that you don't work in it for too long, and that brings into question industrial relations issues and all sorts of issues of that nature. But I do think it's an obligation, and I've worked on matters that have involved very significant vicarious trauma. So I had a very large team of people working with me when we acted in the Victorian Bushfire Royal Commission for as part of the state response, but for the Country Fire Authority. And so, we saw horrible pictures, we saw terrible evidence, we spoke to people who were traumatised. And, to be clear, I'm not saying that's anything akin to what those people went through or working with images of child sexual offences. I'm not saying they're akin at all. But, you put things in place, you review them constantly, you keep an eye on your people, you have those conversations and you don't treat them as intrusive. How are you going? How did you find that? Do we need a break? What do we do? And I think it's about giving employers the message that it's okay. In fact, it's essential to have those conversations. And then, what does that look like?